Should the USA place a fat tax on sugary drinks and junk food to combat obesity? Why or why not? We have a sugar tax in San Francisco. I work for a soda company and we expected our sugar-free sales to rise, but we found out people actually don't care about paying 5 cents more for what they want. This could have to do with the demographic of SF and might not hold the same across the country. This is actually already a thing in Philadelphia, minus the junk food. It's extremely unpopular here. I read that sales dropped 50% in the city while it raised sales outside of it over 40%. Making this a national policy would cause a lot of upset. Edit. I feel compelled to add, since this keeps coming up, that I do support the idea behind taxing unhealthy foods. Obviously something needs to be done about the obesity rates and health issues going on in this country. However, I also feel like there are better ways to do it. Instead of increasing the cost of unhealthy foods, which as other commenters have said can have negative effects on the poor, although this seems to be under debate, why not try to decrease the cost and increase the variety of healthier food options? Why not increase education and awareness around healthy eating? Or why not pass regulations requiring junk foods to have less of the ingredients that make it junk? I feel like there are so many other alternatives that aren't guaranteed to piss people off. If you remove subsidies from the food industry, I think you will find that healthy foods end up far cheaper than unhealthy ones. Edit. Thanks for my first gold /silver. Instead of making soda and junk more expensive, how about we make healthy food less expensive? It's a nod because there's a huge gray area. Oh, so definitely we're taxing butter. White bread definitely. Yeah, the nice artisan French bread is included under that umbrella. All condiments we'll tax. Ketchup is sugar and mayo is oil. Pickles too, yeah. They're just pure sodium, etc. We all know how Americans reacted to a tea tax. If the tea drinking community got that fired up, imagine what the Mountain Dew drinking community would do. There are many pros and cons to this, but at the end of the day, I have to say I'm against it for a few primary reasons. 1. It disproportionately affects poor people, who already struggle. Although this is indirect, and mostly due to the impoverished working more than those with more money. Yes, ironic. And so having less time to cook healthy meals for themselves. 2. It doesn't fight the primary causes of obesity, which are mostly imbalanced diets with too little exercise. Most easily combated by giving children more supervised exercise and less supervised desk time, and properly funding schools and extracurricular activities. Too much unhealthy food can exacerbate the issue. But then again, do we all agree what constitutes unhealthy? I gave myself 15 kidney stones by overeating raw spinach faster than my body could process the calcium stone precursors. Is spinach healthy? Of course, in moderation, as are fatty foods, like steak, bacon, and dairy. We also need carbohydrates from candy, bread, and fruit. So this raises the question, what do we tax? 3. Poor diet education in schools. Everything I learned about real nutrition I learned as an adult. Almost everything before college was not only useless, but many times wrong, and often actually worse than saying nothing. Examples. Tongues aren't separated by taste, and the food pyramid was already outdated when I was in school. And, from what I learned during my master's classes, what we know about our biology is surface information for the most part. A lot of facts about nutrition are our best guess at the time. And what works for me might not work for someone else. Separate, but relevant. Label laws in the USA are worse than useless, and a much more noticeable cause of obesity. Incidentally, also easier to fix but harder to lobby for because name brands make a lot of money off these poor laws. Case in point, Tic Tac brand mints are legally labeled sugar-free, as containing zero sugar, despite being made almost 100% from sugar. This is due to the fact a serving is a single Tic Tac, which weighs just barely under 5 grams. Legally, In the United States, any serving with less than half a gram of sugar can be labeled sugar-free, rounded down to 0 on the nutrition sheet. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/tick-tack https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/tick-tack. Legally, I could label 25g sugar packets as sugar-free, nutritionally zero sugar. Edit for not quite right info about Tic Tacs. No. It just seems like a patronizing money grab that will disproportionately hurt low-income individuals that live in food deserts, minus neighborhoods with few or no grocery stores and limited availability of fresh and non-processed food. No. Sin taxes are stupid and shouldn't be legal. Sin taxes are basically a tax on poor people and it doesn't help them at all. It hurts them more than it hurts anyone else. No, I don't believe it's the government's job to control the choices people make. Even if it was, the US provides abundant subsidies to the corn industry, so sugary food is already technically subsidized. Also, I don't trust regulators to do it right. For some reason we already have a meaningless label on our food for added sugar that makes juices appear healthy. No, I don't believe it's the government's place to stop citizens from doing stupid shit that harms themselves. The point of a tax on an unhealthy product is to offset the healthcare costs related to its use. Deterring use because of cost is a bonus. As the US government does not believe in universal healthcare, it should definitely not be taxing it at a higher rate. That's my opinion anyway. Nope. I lift weights, spin, and run. I keep myself at an acceptable weight and health level. I don't want to pay extra for an occasional snack because other people can't control themselves. This is an awful economic idea. People should have the freedom to consume the beverages and foods that they want and also be able to accept responsibility for their choices. No, it's one of those feel-good legislations which causes more harm than good. No, that's called petty tyranny. There's this underlying idea that I've encountered a lot recently, in which any social problem needs to be solved via top-down legislation, usually at the federal level. Obesity and diet are a major issue, but I think there are probably better ways to bring about the change without jumping into the murky waters of bandit legislation. Incentives, social change, supporting healthier food options, etc. etc. We don't have health care, so how's that going to combat obesity? People will still pay for shit that's bad for you. Look at cigarettes and alcohol. I'd be pissed if my mother, a diabetic because her pancreas crapped out, she's not obese, had to pay another tax on the soda she drinks when she has a low blood sugar. No, the government isn't your fucking mother. It's not there to tell you how to live your life. While we're at it, repeal all sin taxes on tobacco, booze, lottery, etc. No, it's their choice to consume unhealthy goods. We tax the shit out of everything in the US already. It really doesn't change usage much. It's a free country where people have to pay for their own health care, isn't it? So what does it matter if people get fat? What if skinny people like those drinks and foods? Why should they have to pay our fat tax? Maybe the government shouldn't have spent the last 35 years telling people that fat in food was bad and high carbohydrate intake is great. People are making the argument that soda is bad while at the same time pushing items like low-fat milk where fat is removed and replaced by sugar to make up for the flavor. I think people should just take some personal responsibility. Fuck me, right? Yes, because that's how we eradicated smoking, by making cigarettes more expensive. Attempting to adjust obesity levels via economic incentives is going to do nearly nothing to solve the issue. People are not obese because they cannot afford healthy food. Portion control alone would allow someone to maintain a reasonable weight even on a carb-based diet. The root cause is low self-control. If someone eats exclusively McDonald's because he or she is addicted to the flavor and portion size, then raising the cost via tax will only accomplish making the person bankrupt. The government has tried the same strategy to combat smoking with little success, and the same problem occurs. Addicts end up spending even more of their limited money on the object of their habits, leaving their dependents without food and the addict's addiction intact. The best way to combat obesity is likely individual treatment. Personal training, psychiatric help, and the aid of a dietitian are key, and ultimately if the foregoing doesn't help, then surgery might be necessary. The low self-control that causes obesity is sometimes very innate and inherited, so it's impossible for some, even very rich and or smart people, to adhere to a strict diet and exercise routine. I think they should make healthier food cheaper and more common. It's the kind of stuff that goes on in countries that have lower obesity rates. Edit. I guess I'm kinda stating what other people are saying. I don't live in the US myself, but it's definitely a cultural aspect that in some countries people are just used to buying healthier food and that it's just a more socially normal thing for them. Fast food may be advertised better as well in the US. Personally, I live in the UK and my family buys healthy food, but that's not always common here. Subscribe, like and comment if you hate outros, begging you to subscribe, like and comment.